Hi, welcome to the SDP. Dana Carvey is a genius. Whilst writing the script for his 2002 family film, The Master of Disguise, he must have realized that the main character he was playing had become so annoying that he decided to have him take on all manner of other personae so as to distract the audience from its initial displeasure. At least that's what I'd like to think happened. But even if this was true, in practice, it didn't work out so well. On the contrary, every new character that Dana Carvey portrays only serves to bug his viewers even more. What's that on your face? Yeah, I'm not going to do the review like this. So, what character could draw out so much ire? Well, it starts out with the Disguisey family, a Sicilian-based clan whose members fought crime since the Renaissance by impersonating various people and objects with great talent. One such Disguisey, Fabrizio, was responsible for the previous arrest of our villain, Devlin Bowman, by disguising himself as Bo Derek. So Bowman does 20 years, but Fabrizio fears for the safety of his family and decides to settle in America and run an Italian restaurant. A word to the wise, this film boasts some of the worst Italian stereotypes than the combined spawn of Hetalia and Jersey Shore. Yeah, I just broke you. Fast forward a couple of decades, and we are introduced to our ostensible hero, Pistachio Disguisey. In literally the first shot we see him, he's wearing underpants on his head and a shaving cream beard. Let that set the tone for the rest of the film. And his voice. Take the worst stereotypical Italian accent you've heard, spoken from the mouth of a meth-charged 5-year-old. Yeah, I just broke you. So the newly freed Bowman has Pistachio's parents kidnapped, and the one man who comes to help him is...
Holy cannoli, you are my sister!
You don't have a sister, you pea-brain! I'm your grandfather!
Who teaches him the Disguisey legacy and begins his training.
Really? I'm going to be a master of disguise. 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 I'm going to be a master of disguise.
This is what you're doing. This is what I want you to do.
Meanwhile, Fabrizio is blackmailed by Bowman into coming out of retirement and using his disguise powers to borrow all manner of natural treasures. He takes the Declaration of Independence as Olympic runner Michael Johnson, the Liberty Bell as then-governor of Minnesota Jesse Ventura, and the Apollo 11 lunar lander as Jessica Simpson, all played by themselves. Sensing a pattern here? For those playing at home, these pop culture references date the film horribly. Anyone who's familiar with Usain Bolt, Arnold Schwarzenegger, or Katy Perry knows what I'm talking about. On the plus side, they did add some homages to classic material like 10, The Exorcist, and Jaws. You know, for the parents, who were the only ones who would get them in the first place. Oh, and if national treasure is to be believed, these items are being held in completely generic buildings, but I digress. And I'm sorry to say that Bowman has a running gag of letting his bowels play the trumpet during his evil laughs. Because it's funny? Actually, taken literally, that's not such a bad idea. Let's try it. Good idea. Sadly, back to Pistachio. Turns out costuming is only part of the game. A disguisee can only attain a perfect disguise by copying their voice and personality thanks to the magical force known as Energico.
Who are you now?
The question is not who I am, the question is who are you? I know who I am. I am Prince Lalejama from the Ringy-Dingy Heights near Bombay, Calcutta, and New Delhi, India.
His training also devolves the disguising method of self-defense, which, in a transparent effort to soften any potential violence, involves open-hand slapping instead of punching, in conjunction with copious misuse of the phrase, "Who's your daddy?"
Who's your daddy?
Oh, and he needs an assistant, too. Enter Jennifer Baker, a single mother who was introduced to Pistachio by her son. Despite his and Pistachio's mutual desire for a weight with a well-stocked caboose, which she happens to lack, she does prove a refreshing serious foil to her new co-worker. With her help, Pistachio follows Bowman's trail to the Turtle Club, the Not Antiques Roadshow, and finally Bowman's Villa. Oh, but I skipped over the worst part, the disguises used in these places. Pistachio apparently misunderstood what the name Turtle Club entailed because he dresses up in a giant turtle shell.
But am I not turtly enough for the Turtle Club?
When they finally meet Bowman at the Antiques Convention, Pistachio starts hitting on him as the Pepper Pot-esque Gammy Num-Nums. But for no reason, he or she waffles and starts insulting him, leading to this line.
Well, guess what, Backstreet Boy? This is one Girl Scout that isn't content to be the Malcolm in your middle.
That? Impossibly, that was dated from the moment he said it. By 2002, the Backstreet Boys had broken up, temporarily. And did anyone really care about Malcolm in the Middle by then either? And it fails as a sexual entendre too, just think about that. Or not. Despite Pistachio's best efforts, he and Jennifer get invited to Bowman's place for a party. Jennifer does some snooping in his house, whilst Pistachio distracts Bowman with such disguises as not Tony Montana from Scarface, not Captain Quinn from Jaws, and a grass suit with a cow pie on top. Because it's funny? Never mind how, but Pistachio loses Bowman's henchmen in a brief foot chase which takes them back to the city's Italian district, which is how far away, might I ask? Only to go back and retrieve Jennifer from Bowman's custody. Oh, and there's some subplot involving Jennifer's ex-boyfriend. In theory, Pistachio having to deal with him would have given him some character development and helping him become a man. But I can't get one thought out of my head. Were the other two still dating? If so, then the other guy might be a jerkhole, but I'd still root for him. Anything to get rid of that tool Pistachio. And yet, despite this alleged character development, Pistachio has run out of leads on Bowman, and Jennifer was recaptured. So he contacts his grandfather via Energico, who encourages him to run one last raid on Bowman's estate. A few tepid action sequences are interspersed with Bowman outlining his evil plan to some anonymous suits. Sell the treasures acquired by Fabrizio on a website called Prepare Yourself, Black Mark eBay. I tell you, the stupid coming out of this movie is just tangible. And not even a cameo from Kenan Thompson can save it.
Now this little dude is slapping these ninja guys senseless.
To top it off, Bowman has permanently affixed the mask of himself onto Fabrizio, locked him into his own persona by somehow applying the dark side of Energico.
There's a dark side, exactly like Star Wars?
And sticks him on his own son. I admit, this is a pleasantly dark turn. I mean, if this were to succeed, how could Fabrizio live with the pain of killing his own son? But, of course, that doesn't happen. Pistachio snaps his father out of his evil mode by evoking the underwear on head gag from the beginning of the movie. Pretty flimsy conclusion to a pretty flimsy movie. But wait! Bowman is still at large, and the reunited disguises track him to a resort in Costa Rica. Point Man Pistachio confronts him as, get this, George W. Bush. To give you one last idea of how dated this movie is, if it were done just a couple years later, everyone in Hollywood would have hated W too much to pull off a scene like this straight. So Pistachio knocks Bowman into the pool and he doesn't get up. Wait a minute, did he drown? Does this man have super drowning skills or something? All we get is one last loud, bubble, you tell me. Because it's funny?
Yes, you catch on straight away.
Well, no sense dwelling on those triples. The movie's over. Technically. Should some indescribable force compel you to stay in your seat of choice, the entire credit sequence is loaded with all manner of outtakes and deleted scenes. Thank you, Columbia Pictures, for giving us an excuse not to buy the DVD.
Ooh, that's refreshing.
Please allow me to retract my opening statement. Dana Carvey is an idiot. Thoughtful and well-meaning, but an idiot all the same. His man-child performance somehow manages to shine through no matter what character he plays. The plot? Sure, there could be some potential in a serious screenplay with a similar premise, but the juvenile execution takes you out of it. And for a family comedy, whatever humor isn't off-color, which sadly makes up a good chunk of the material, just falls flat. The Master of Disguise scores 25%, an F.
The Master of Disguise.
And Pistachio Disguisey, your art had better be up to snuff, because you deserve to be hunted down for this travesty. This is Kevin, with Ichigo, and you are the Resistance.
Master of Disguise.